The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Phixated Podcast. I'm your host, coming live to you tonight from the Microtel Inn and Suites in Elkhart, Indiana, a few miles outside of South Bend, Indiana. I am coming straight off an 9-ish hour drive, and I am joined tonight by a man who once did this drive with me.
Twice.
Regz, baby. How you doing, man?
We did it twice.
We did.
Once with your brother, which was one of the more adventurous weekends I think I might have ever had in my life.
And
I don't even know.
Remember, I wasn't like supposed to do that drive, and I just did the whole thing.
Yeah, your mother specifically told me not to let either of you drive the car. And you just did it by yourself. You know, you're a big boy now.
I've grown up so much.
We certainly weren't letting Joseph get behind the wheel. That's for damn sure.
Look at me now, Joe Murray. Look at you now.
And then I did, not to call out our good buddy Schmidt, but I literally saved all of our lives by staying awake when he fell asleep driving the car.
I mean, love you, Schmidt, but
that was a bad look for the Schmidtster.
I think I was asleep at that point. So
everyone was, except for me. And apparently our driver was too. So.
I was talking to my dad tonight about it, and I am talking a little more quietly tonight because I don't know who's sleeping and I don't want to tick anybody off. So I apologize if I'm a little quieter tonight than I usually am. Just trying not to anger the neighbors that I have for the next 3 nights. I was talking to my dad on the way here, and I said, like, in college, I didn't stay anywhere. We basically drove overnight, showed up, turned around, and drove back.
We would leave Friday at midnight while being up the entire day Friday having class, and then probably being up very late on Thursday.
And
3:30
Thursday.
We would drive 10 hours, midnight to 10 a.m., just pull right into South Bend, find a parking spot, hit up the sausage stands on the campus, hit up the school store, get into our bleacher seats, enjoy the game, walk right back to the car, get in, and come on back. And there we were.
I don't know how we did it.
I don't know how we did it either.
I am on the struggle bus right now after doing it, for the last 9 hours. I stopped at like 8 o'clock to get a coffee.
Yeah, I was very much like that on the way home from Florida when we went on vacation. Getting there, at least you're like looking forward to it. And as you said, you like put in some podcasts, which is my go-to also.
Yeah. I was telling Regz, I listened to a 12-episode true crime podcast on the way here. Now I listen to podcasts on 1.5 speed, so I do get through things a little bit more quickly. Which when I listen to like the start of ours, because that's usually what I do. I don't always go the whole way through. But I'm always like, man, I talk so fast. So I have to like take myself off of 1.5 speed. But if you have not listened to the podcast Serial, seriously, listen to it.
This is like
season 1 is tremendous.
They're on what season now? It's got to be a bunch, right?
I don't know. I only got through season 1 today.
Yeah, season 1's what started that whole true crime podcast genre, isn't it?
Maybe.
I think that's like the OG of those types of podcasts. Yeah.
Is it? I had heard of one called Crime Junkies that I think might have been the one you're thinking of.
I heard of Serial first.
Did you?
I can distinctly remember people talking about it.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal.
Yeah. I would just shout out Hardcore History for any history buffs out there. If you need long form podcasts, each episode is about 4.5 hours long. So enjoy.
I mean, look at us plugging other podcasts on
Those
here
are
on
two
the show.
fantastic ones. Not that they need our help, but
Well, I'm gonna need one. Hey, every little bit helps. I'm gonna need one for the way home on Sunday because I plan on walking out of this hotel at like 4:30 in the morning
Yep.
to try and get back for at least close to kickoff for the Eagles.
It's dedication, people. It's
That's the goal.
dedication. He brought his laptop, his microphone, his headphones,
Yes.
all the way to
Yes.
Indiana just for you.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know that I turned off the lights in my car, so we'll find out after the show. I'll update the people later.
You can go
I
and
think
check
I-
while I'm talking about something. You can run out there real quick.
I think I'm good. If I didn't listen in an hour,
Yeah.
it'll be fine. If
Yeah.
I go out there in an hour,
We
I'm pretty
appreciate your
sure we'll be-
dedication, buddy. We do. I'm glad you made it there safe. Glad you're safely
mean-
nestled in your whatever inn hotel you're in.
Microtel Inn and Suites, baby.
Microtel.
Future sponsor of the podcast.
There you go.
I'll talk to him on the way.
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Run it by the GM.
Yeah, seems like a nice guy. Seems like a nice guy. But like I said, gonna be out of here at 4:00 in the morning to get home for the birds. Before we get into the birds tonight, though, because we're gonna spend most of our time there. On the way here, I was following the Phillies. I didn't listen to them because they got down early and then they came back, and I was like, I'm gonna let this ride the way that I'm doing it, just following it on Gamecast, checking in on it throughout the drive, and they come out 2 out of 3. We had said before we didn't know we'd beat Alcantara 3 times. They had him beat.
Yep.
And 9th inning, Reese Hoskins, big air, and the Marlins take advantage, score 2. And now, unfortunately, the Phillies lose. The Brewers are about to sweep a doubleheader, which means they'll pick up a game and a half.
Yeah.
And
it's a tough one because of that. It's not a tough
Yeah.
one because of just the loss in general. Coming out and winning the first 2 games of the series was really important, especially the way they did it. They aren't playing great right now. But to at least come out and win against a team that, again, another team that historically you lose to in these situations. Like we talked about before, we're going to be happy with, what was it? 8-1, 6-1, whatever. How many?
8-1,
Thank
7-2,
you. Right.
8-1, 7-2, 6-3. We're fine.
So it's a bummer because it's a winnable game. And Robertson, I guess I'm not going to go into it now because we have other things to talk about. But if anybody saw my tweet, #make it stop.
Here's what I'll say. I do think, they've kind of abused Robertson since Sir Anthony's been down. I was a little confused tonight because I read that they were going to hold him out for multiple days. And he was out for one night. Last night, Jose Alvarado threw 8 pitches in the 8th inning, so
Yeah.
I'm not sure why he wasn't out there in the 9th inning tonight. It felt weird when I saw that it was Robertson. I was like, that's so strange because Alvarado just walked through 3 guys last night.
Yeah.
And it feels like he could go back to back. So, unclear on the decision. I hopefully Sir Anthony's not far, and it sounds like he's not.
Yeah, it sounds like him and Eflin are both making AAA appearances.
Yeah, which means we could see them by the road trip,
Right.
which would be enormous because I think Eflin ends up in the pen to piggyback on likely Ranger.
Yeah.
And then they use Sir Anthony back in the 9th inning again, which goodness do they need in the worst way. And not just for the purpose of Sir Anthony being Sir Anthony, but I think David Robertson just needs days. Like he looks gassed. He looks gassed.
Yeah. It's just,
You mentioned not pretty baseball, but 2 guys who are playing good baseball right now are Alec Baum and Bryson Stott.
still,
they're
they're
just
just carrying it over.
they really are. I'm a little worried about Bryce, but like you said, we're not going to go too deep into this tonight.
I think
Hope
somebody, they might have been talking about it on the broadcast the other night. that the last time he came back, he had like a 2-week stretch or like 2.5-week stretch where he just didn't look himself. And then, of course, he had the second half that we all, remember, that compelled him literally into an MVP.
Yeah, well,
it might have been high
listen,
hopes. It might have been high hopes who was talking about that.
I if they're gonna play rough right now, that feels okay, but they're gonna need to turn it up in the next like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If you want to go into a little slide, and again, like it's a they just won 2 of 3.
Yep.
Like we're complaining because they lost a game they should have won.
We need to keep winning series.
And I think if Sir Anthony is the closer tonight, it's a sweep.
Yeah.
I just think, I still think if Alvarado closed that game, they sweep. I don't know if Robertson is just in Topper's ear saying like, I can go, because he wants so badly to prove to this fan base that what happened 2 years ago is not him.
You are failing,
but
David.
I'd almost rather him just,
Right.
But again, I do put a lot of this on Rhys Hoskins.
Yes.
And if he doesn't make that error, they probably win the game or at least go into the 9th tied.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Rhys is just not the most dependable first baseman,
right?
As we've learned. All right, let's talk about the team that's bringing so much excitement to Philadelphia right now. Yeah, the Phillies are a playoff team as of today, but there's another team that is just the city's lighting up. They just released their hype video, which is fantastic.
Yep.
By the way, goosebumps. Watched it when I got to the microtill in hashtag supporter of the pod. And I think, we talked and man, I got blasted for some of my takes the other day.
That's great.
I mean, people were like, what are you thinking?
It's great.
But hey,
they were bold takes. That's right.
We're going to be bold. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pull punches.
That's right.
And I even said to someone, like, the Hurts one is super realistic. Like, what are we doing here? If he doesn't break 3,500 yards throwing, we are in a bad spot.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight we promised to take a look at the schedule. We're going to go game by game, not break down, but we are going to just touch on each game a little bit. And then we're going to go through just a couple little little predictions throughout. So, but as we do the schedule, both Regz and I are going to do a lock game. We don't know which one the other one picked as their lock. We're also going to do a coin toss game, which means it can take your record either way. So it can be a win or a loss. So we're giving each other one game either way. But we haven't told the other one which one the toss-up game is going to be yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we're going to do just a little bit of like most confident and least confident and just on the team in general. So we'll get through it pretty quickly, but I'm excited to hear what you guys think too. So make sure when we post this, drop your record predictions in our comments and on Twitter, because we'll be curious to see where you guys land. So Regz, we'll just kick it right off. What do you think?
So
I got to tell you, I should have made this a weekend. I'm not far from Detroit. Just so we're all clear.
You should have made it like,
I didn't think about it.
You know what? That's all right.
At Detroit, week 1, the Hard Knocks, lovable team for this year. Everybody loves the Hard Knocks teams.
I'm giving us a win because I still don't think Detroit is very good. And I just, unlike the Phillies, I want the Eagles to come out and give us confidence in week 1. So I'm going with a win in Detroit.
Yeah. I think Detroit's better.
Yes,
they're much improved. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, the second year wide receiver, he led all the NFL in receiving yards the second half of last year. So I'll be curious to see sort of what he looks like. And they've added a ton at the receiver position. So they've got a lot going on there. Jared Goff is capable, but I ultimately agree with you. I think the Eagles are just too much. And it's their first sellout since like 2017.
Yeah, I did enjoy your tweet that said, just to guess, there's going to be a lot of green.
I mean, seriously though, like I get it. You're the Hard Knocks darlings, but if you think that there's not going to be a lot of Eagle fans there,
Yeah.
you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Like Eagle fans travel super well. There's gonna be a ton of green there, a ton of black there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we both have them at a win. I'm just gonna keep track up here as we go. So we both have a win. All right. Week 2 is at home against Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings.
So this one I kind of went back and forth on, but I think first home game, prime time, Monday Night Football, the crowd is going to be absolutely bonkers for this. And I think that propels them to a win.
Yeah, someone say this could be the Jalen Reagor revenge game.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for him, his quarterback is awful on Monday Night Football. So I think primetime in general, Kirk Cousins is just terrible. But that's not an easy team.
Mhm.
They're
No, for
very
sure.
they're a very tough team, especially on the offensive side of the ball, because they do have Adam Thielen in addition to Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. Look, we all give Cousins a hard time, but he's given the Eagles fits over the years. But I agree with you.
And
That
he put up
game,
a ton of stats last year.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, having Justin Jefferson.
Well, sure. I think if this
certainly
was, I think my biggest thing is that it's a home game. I think if this was away, I'd probably put this at a loss. I think being at home and being the home opener gives the Eagles that edge.
And again, it's Monday night, right?
Yeah.
It's not Sunday night.
That's right.
They're going to be that place is not only going to be ruckus, it's going to be hammered drunk.
It's going to be nuts.
And the last time that the Vikings had to come to Philly and play at night, it didn't go super well for the Vikings. So, I think what 41-7, does that ring a bell?
Something like that.
38-7, 38-7. I think it was 38-7.
Something like that sounds about right.
Yeah, go Birds. All right. So we both have 2-0, and we both have our lock and our coin toss game still intact. Week 3 at Washington. We talked a little bit about this last week with bold takes. With Carson Wentz's first game against the Eagles, I still think this is probably more of a home game for the Eagles than it is the Commanders. I'll go first this time.
Yeah.
Rex. I have this as a win. I think Carson's going to try and do way too much in this game. I think especially being at home, trying to beat his old team.
Yep.
I see the Eagles. I see the Eagles beating them. I think this one's going to be close, though. I don't think it's going to be a thrashing. I just think Carson's going to make a couple of mistakes that keep the Eagles sort of comfortably in front.
This is my lock. I'm going all in on this one.
Wow.
I think you describing that Washington is always like a semi-home game took me back to like the National Stadium in our 2008 to 11 run, where literally it was a home game anytime we played the Nationals. I think especially with the Carson Wentz part of this, there are going to be so many Eagles fans that want to go and just rip that guy apart. So I think they come off a really it's going to be a big game in Minnesota, or when Minnesota comes here. But I think because they're going to win and because it's going to be a home game, I think this team is going to be riding like cloud 9.5 going into Washington. And so I just think they're just going to come and put the foot down.
All right. So we both got 3-0. You've used your lock. We'll go to week 4, Doug Peterson's homecoming.
Yeah.
The Jaguars come to town.
What do you think about this one?
This is my lock.
There you go.
This is my lock. I think that this game, and again, we love Doug. We will always love Doug.
Of course.
Unfortunately, Doug doesn't have the talent on either side of the ball. And
Yeah.
if the Eagles are playing the type of football that we know they can play, the only thing I worry about is seeing the potential for a letdown game. If they're 3-0, I could see them, potentially, but there just seems to be too many veterans, too much focus. The coach doesn't seem like someone who's going to let that happen. So this is my lock. And the reason that I'm doing it is, I'm wondering if you were kind of thinking the same thing. I don't want to wait to do my lock because of potential injuries later in the season and certain guys not playing. So I'm going to put my lock in pretty early.
Yeah, I was more so thinking I wanted to pick a game that I wanted to pick a lock that I think is going to. I know we're doing a coin toss. I see that a little differently, but I wanted my lock to sort of mean something. Because I feel like the Washington game could be that letdown game. Coming off Monday night against a tough Minnesota team. I'm putting
That's
my
fair.
faith in, like you said, the veterans on this team, the coach, the quarterback, to not allow this team to have one of those games so early. I'm not saying it might not happen. Spoiler alert for next game. But I just don't think it's going to I don't think it's going to happen at that one. Especially
so you
considering the Carson Wentz part of it.
So you got him at 4-0 as well.
I got him at 4-0.
Okay. All right, so you can take this one. They have to travel across the country.
Yep.
For a date with the Cardinals on the 9th. So they do get their normal 7 days, but it's a cross country trip. What do you got?
This one is where I see the letdown game happening.
Okay.
Growing across the country, Kyler Murray is still a dynamic quarterback who at any time could just throw up 35 points on you without looking like you broke a sweat. I don't think it would be that type of game. I think it would be the type of game where Murray just kind of pops off. The team's a little tired, again, coming off 4 wins in a row, having to travel to the West Coast. I don't think it's necessarily a blowout, but I think it just ends with Kyler Murray being Kyler Murray and possibly like scoring a touchdown with 3 minutes left and us just not being able to answer.
Yeah, I have this as a loss solely because I think you're going to have 2 really emotional games back-to-back weeks.
Yep.
The Carson Wentz game, the Doug Peterson game, and then you got to go across the country. 3 emotional games in 3 weeks, really, because you're home opener too.
Yeah.
So, and look, DeAndre Hopkins isn't necessarily the same guy that he's been in the past, but he's still very dangerous and very difficult to cover.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I just think that just has loss kind of written all over it. So
if they get through that game as ugly as they need to make it and pull out a win there, I think that says a lot about this team.
Yeah. Well, if they're 5-0, the city's going to burn down.
Oh yeah. But just I think everything is pointing to that Arizona game being one of those letdown games.
Yeah. If you're 5-0 going into Dallas week, the city's going to burn down.
Again, yeah.
All right, so Dallas week, home against Dallas.
I have this as a win. I'm envisioning that game like 12 years ago, which was a night game at Lincoln Financial, and I think they beat Dallas like 40-3 or 40-7 or something. It was, like I said, it was the only Eagles game I've ever gone to, and I just remember Brian Dawkins being an absolute menace.
Yeah.
And them just putting up so many points. So I think, the stadium's going to be nuts again. It's another night game. And coming off what we think is a loss, again, it's a tough sort of bounce back game. It's not, Dallas isn't nobody.
Right.
They're still a decent team. They're obviously not the same Dallas team that they were 5 years ago, but they're not slouches for sure. There's nothing that says they can't come in here and win, but
Mhm.
if you come off a loss in Arizona, I don't think you should allow this team to lose this, especially this game against Dallas at home.
Right. I also have it as a win. I just Jason Peters. I just
They're giving him like
I
minor league starts on the practice squad.
I mean, I just don't see. Yeah,
For the
I
record, we
actually
love Jason Peters,
yes,
but
but come on,
just
man.
go
No
home.
when it's
Just go home, buddy.
no when
Yeah.
it's no when it's time. And the fact that he's putting on every time we bring a Cowboy to Philly, they stink. So all I have to say is this dude better stink
I can't
for
imagine
them.
he's going to be good.
Well, weirder things have happened.
That's true.
All right, so then they have the bye week in week 7, which feels like an early bye.
It is. It's very early.
I would much rather have your bye like 10, 11.
Yeah,
But they do sort
they
of
have
have
11 games after the bye week.
they do have a mini bye, and we're going to talk a little bit more sort of about the last part of their schedule because I don't love it, and we'll talk about why then. But home against Pittsburgh, I'll go. I think by this point, there's potential that Kenny Pickett could be starting for the Steelers. I almost made this my coin toss game.
Okay.
I was like this close, but there's another one that I think I feel more confident in making my coin toss game. So I think coming out of a bye, you know, it just feel a bye at home
Yeah.
too feels like it's a win. I mean, Pittsburgh's defense is very good. So I don't think it'll be an easy win. I think it'll be a tough win just because they're going to grind you out.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have that as a win, and I kept my coin toss because I'm just not ready to give it up yet.
I'm with you. I also see it as a win. I don't think Pittsburgh's going to be able to put enough points up. I don't think that we're going to score a ton, but I just don't think that our defense will, like you said, give up a ton to them. I am also keeping my coin in my back pocket for now, for a later date. So
okay. So most people will look at this next game on the schedule just knowing it exists and chalk it up as like an automatic. But not so fast, because I know it's the Houston Texans. But again, the Eagles have to travel to Texas, to Houston, on a short week. It's a Thursday night game.
Mm-hmm.
That is a real challenge. That is a real challenge. They're not a good football team. In my eyes, they're probably going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. I do think it will take a miracle type of situation to lose that game, but that's not going to be the blowout, the walk-in blowout that everybody anticipates it to be. That's a really, 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 really difficult thing to do, having to travel on a short week halfway across the country for a night game after playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are a very tough football team. So it's a win for me. But I think most people probably would have thought, why isn't this your lock? Well, because I still feel a little nervous about just the situation.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I still think it's a win. I think if it was maybe any other 27 other teams that, like, the scenario you're describing might consider it a loss. But I think because it literally is probably the worst team in football, that even if they don't have their best, I think they're good enough will be plenty to beat this team.
All right, so you'll go next year.
All right.
Washington, home. Welcome back, Carson Wentz.
Yep. So, like I said, Carson Wentz is going to be a puddle.
And it's a night game.
During this game. Those lights of the link are going to be a little brighter than he
Monday night.
Than he remembers. This was my almost other choice for my lock. But I think I think the Philadelphia fans are just going. And again, I don't think Carson Wentz is necessarily a bad guy, but he's not the most mentally tough individual. And this crowd is going to be nuts. Just nuts. And I just don't think he's going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, Monday night game, and sort of the opposite of what I was just saying about the previous week. The Eagles will have 11 days off.
Thursday to the next Monday. Essentially 2 Mondays, yeah.
And again, they're going to have a really, really drunk stadium. That place is going to, I mean, Carson heard it shake when he was standing on the sideline as the home team quarterback. This is going to feel very different when he steps on the field at the Link, especially if our prediction is right and they're 7-1.
Mm-hmm.
The fans are going to be super confident. The defense is going to be flying all over the field. You know, if they're 4-3, if you know at this point, if 3-4, like if something goes wrong, it's going to be a different vibe. But if they're 6-2, 7-1 going into this game, that place is going to be absolutely electric.
Mm-hmm.
And poor Carson.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump to the Indy game. Away on the road in the dome, the Colts. What do you got?
So for this one, I still have as a win. This one I kind of this was one that I had maybe as a coin toss. But I think, who's even the quarterback of Indianapolis?
Matt Ryan.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, it's a win. Matt Ryan, we're good. We don't lose to Matt Ryan that often. I think, again, they have one of the best running backs in football with that kid that's there. Their offensive line is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think with the additions that we've made on the defensive line, linebacker position, we're going to be keyed up on that. And now our secondary is at a point where I think we're going to be able to stack the box and for the first time in a long time be able to rely on our secondary to do their job and it's going to be like the first game I can remember for many years where it's like we're going to be semi-confident that our secondary is going to be able to hold up if we know that we have to stack the box against a very good offensive line and a very good running back. So again, I went back and forth with this one, but I think it's a win.
Yeah. You've got them 9-1 then, through 10 weeks. I have a loss here.
Okay.
And I didn't have this as a coin toss. Like I have this as a straight up loss. For me, again, coming off that emotional game, going on the road, this one speaks to a letdown a little bit more, I think, than the other ones. I think that it's similar to the Arizona game, couple of emotional games. Yeah, I just feel like this one's probably one of those slip up losses. And so I have Mate in 2, which takes us back to Philly for Green Bay. And I have another loss here. I have 2 consecutive losses. I know I hear it from so many people. Well, Aaron Rodgers doesn't have anybody to throw to. He's still freaking Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Like he is still one of the greatest quarterbacks of this generation and the generation before it. He's that good. He'll find a way, and he usually does against us. Like, you know, that couple years back, like we got super lucky that Craig James just got his hand in it. Probably could have been pass interference at Lambeau, and we ended up sneaking one out on the Thursday night. I just never feel good when we have to play Aaron Rodgers ever. So I have that as a loss, and I still didn't use my coin toss because I really don't feel great about that game.
Yeah.
I would almost, if I had a lost lock, I think that would be the one.
Okay. So I have this as my coin toss for the
that's
sheer
fair.
fact that it's a home game. If you're going to ask me to pick one way or the other, I think they lose this game. But I think out of all the rest of the games, I'm
Sure.
making
So
this one
you
my coin toss.
so yeah. So essentially, what we're saying is right now you have them 9-2,
Yes.
but if you lose this game, that's okay
Right.
because you still get that win. You get that victory for yourself.
Right.
Okay.
For
So
all the same reasons that you talked about.
yeah.
And if this game was in
Um,
Green Bay, I'd be absolutely right on board with you.
well, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. I think I'm still up. I am.
You
All
are.
right. So here is my here's my coin toss game.
Okay.
And I've been really back and forth on whether I want to do this one or I want to do the Dallas away game. But I'm going to do this game because they're going to be reeling a little bit if everything goes to like according to the way that I feel is it's going to happen. They're going to have 2 losses in a row.
Mm-hmm.
The fans are going to be getting anxious. Tennessee they're a tough team. They again well coached. Mike Vrabel does a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
The defense is pretty stout. Derrick Henry is an absolute animal. If he's healthy, they're very tough.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I will say is this is an AJ Brown like go off game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, absolute go off game. But we've also seen where there's potential for, we're a little distracted, right? Like there's a lot of talk around it throughout the week. He's a pro, so and he's shown his maturity throughout camp. This game it's tricky because Tennessee is really like just really well coached, and I think sometimes I think in football more than baseball, we've talked about this, that like coaches can scheme wins, right? And if they want to take away AJ Brown, I think Vrabel is smart enough to be able to take away AJ Brown. So I do have it as a win, but I'm giving myself the coin toss that they could potentially lose that game.
Yeah. I have this one as a loss.
Okay.
For the sheer fact that I completely agree with you that AJ Brown is going to be hyped out of his mind for this one. But I think this might be one of the games where Jalen can't match AJ Brown's ability.
Okay.
And I don't say that wanting that to happen. I just think that AJ is going to be so amped up and probably so open that I think this might be a little bit of a letdown game for Jalen in particular.
Okay.
That, and like you said, they're still a good team. Henry healthy is just a monster for even the best defensive, even the best defensive front sevens.
Right.
Yeah, I think this is where where you sort of had that 2 in a row with Indianapolis and Green Bay. This is kind of my 2 in a row. This is my little, my blip in the matrix.
Yeah. Green Bay and
Tennessee.
So because you have Green Bay as the loss, but you could see them winning it,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So right now we're both at 9-3. We just got there in different ways. We both have Arizona as a loss.
Yep.
We have Green Bay as a loss, but you use that as your point toss. And I have my third loss right now is Indy, where yours is definitely Tennessee.
Yep.
All right. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left. All right. Here's where it gets tricky. And I want to explain this first before we go through it. They're at New York, at Chicago, at Dallas, and then 2 home games to end it, 1 against New Orleans, 1 against the Giants. So that's tough. That's like having to travel New York, Chicago, Dallas 3 consecutive weeks in the last 5 weeks of the season when your bye was all the way back in week 7.
Yep.
Is tough. Now, granted, 2 of those teams are picked to be like 2 of the 5 worst teams in the NFL. So hopefully at that point they're basically just trying to get that number 1 pick and the Bears aren't really looking at a quarterback. They have theirs, but the Giants certainly are. So it's Europe at New York.
Win.
Yeah. I don't know that we have to say a whole lot.
I don't have
there.
a further explanation.
Yeah, I don't know that we have to say a whole lot there. Now, I will say this. I am anxious to see how they do under the new coaching staff. Brian Dable, to me, could be a guy that could turn the whole thing around, especially offensively if he gets his guy in there. Daniel Jones is still your guy.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Saquon healthy always kicks our butt.
yeah, yeah.
That just is
But
what
again,
it is.
you talked about the run defense.
Yeah.
And we get them in week 13. So Saquon healthy in week 13 is going to be a small miracle.
Yeah.
Which
is a shame because that guy is so good, fun to watch. Like,
yeah. And I do want him to play. I do. But I think we've seen throughout his career staying healthy is a real challenge for him. So I hope he's playing. I do, but by week 13, who knows?
Yeah.
All right, and then Europe again. They travel to Chicago.
At Chicago, I have another win. I just don't think Chicago's very good. Still a tough, like you said, traveling. What's going to be the second week in a row? I just don't. I think this is where I kind of see them regaining their momentum in these 2 weeks. Again, against not great opponents, but sort of a way to reestablish their own confidence and be like, look, guys, we played some tough teams in Green Bay and Tennessee. I know they were home games. It stinks to lose 2 home games in a row, but we're going to come out. We're going to beat these teams like we're supposed to, get our confidence back. And that'll kind of be their stabilization those couple weeks.
Yeah, I got a win here too. Chicago doesn't even remotely scare me as a football team. Justin Fields has no one to throw to. As a matter of fact, he'll tell you that himself. So I don't see that being much of a challenge. All right, I'm up Dallas. I did consider this as my coin toss, but I gotta tell you, man, like if Dallas does what I think they're going to do this year, which is completely crap the bed, they're going to be done. They're going to quit. They're going to absolutely quit. There are too many personalities on that roster. Like Ezekiel Elliott, he probably won't play. There's just too many, and McCarthy's just not the guy. So if they're going to do what I think they're going to do, at this point, they're going to have thrown in the towel. And honestly, the Eagles could have the division wrapped up at this point. We both have them at 11-3. So if they're 11-3 heading into this game, there's a really good chance that the division is wrapped up and they're playing for home field. So I've got a win here. I got them at 12-3.
So I have a loss here.
I know it was
we talked about in the last pod, in one of your bold predictions, you said they would clean the table in the division. I said there's going to be one loss in there, and because I don't think they'll lose to the Giants, and I don't think they'll lose to the Commanders, this is my one loss. This is my one division loss. I think I think all your scenarios are true, though. I think that could all very much be the case, and we roll in there to a team that's done playing, and we have something to play for, and that's how it goes. I'm sort of taking this as at neutral, at these teams, playing how they're supposed to, and I just don't think they run the table.
Fair. It's fair. I think they do, though.
Yeah.
I really do.
I could see both things are equally as likely to happen. Just one man's opinion.
And I love that one man. All right, it's me. New Orleans, home. Honestly, Regs, like I want to give it a loss because it just feels like I have to. I feel like, the record I'm about to head toward is like
a little much.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But I don't know how they lose this game. Potentially they're sitting guys at this point. But if I'm just playing flat rate, like we're going pound for pound, 2 teams. I don't see them losing this game. So
Yeah, I have this one to win as well.
yeah.
I don't know if I'd be less confident if it was at New Orleans, but I think coming back from Dallas, where I have them losing, I think they need one like this game to sort of get them right for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think the week after this is where they sit guys and they could still potentially win with their second team out there. But I think this is the game that they use to reestablish themselves and, the starters' confidence rolling into the playoffs.
And there's a chance that, like, all things coming true, either one of our scenarios here, that if that, like, these two games could matter for that one seed that I predicted
Right.
last week.
Mm-hmm.
So the Giants, I again, if we're calling spade a spade and they're playing for a complete home field one seed throughout, I think, and again, I think even second string they could win that game.
Yeah.
So I am giving it a win. I told you last week, I didn't say it out loud to the Phixated Nation here, but I had 14 wins marked down from the start. And I know it feels high, but as you walk through the schedule, like, again, the division's the division, but 13, 14 wins does not seem out of the realm of possibility. So do you have a win for New York?
I do. Yes.
Okay. All right, so let's do this. We'll start with you. So you ended up 13-4. I ended up 14-3. We got there in different ways with different games. Your lock is Washington. Mine is Jacksonville. The first Washington game.
Correct. At
is your lock.
Washington.
At Washington. My coin toss was Tennessee. I have it as a win, but if it's a loss, I still get that game. And we'll go week by week. We'll check ourselves. And then your coin toss you had as a loss, Green Bay, but you gain that game if it's a win. So we'll see how we do. And again, we'd love for you guys to participate with us. Tell us what your record is. If you want to run down the whole schedule and play with us, that'd be awesome. And if you do, there might be something in it for you, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. We can talk about that at the end of the show. Regz, what are you most confident in as we entered this season from a team perspective? What is the thing you're most confident in?
I wrote down I am most confident in the trenches on either side.
On either side.
Yep. I
Yeah.
just think I don't even want to speak it into existence, so I'm knocking on my wooden desk. I think that even with an injury here or there, that both sides of the trenches will be the most consistent part of this team week in and week out.
Yeah.
Okay. I just think they have the personnel now and the leadership in offense and defensive line that, and you've spoken to the offensive line depth. The defensive line has some great depth as well. I just think they're just set up to be very, very good in those areas the entire season.
All right. So this is going to sound kind of funny when I say what I'm most confident in. I am most confident in Jalen Hurts taking the next step and becoming the guy moving forward.
Okay.
I feel like everything I've seen, everything I've read, everything that you've heard coming out of camp from players, from media, from coaches, that he's just a different guy. And the confidence doesn't lack. He's very confident. And he works really hard. So I think I mean, honestly, if you wouldn't have said trenches, it would have been mine, but I have to have something different. and as I thought through it, I'm thinking coaching staff, I'm not all in there yet. The secondary has, still has lack of depth pretty much across the board. I'm excited about the linebackers, but I don't know that I'm the most confident that they're going to be like that.
They have to prove themselves.
Right. And as much as I love, what we've got going offensively, I think that all hinges on the guy that I'm taking as the person I'm most
absolutely right.
In. So, for me, it's Hurts. What are you least confident
in? It'll come as a shock to no one, but I'm least confident in Gannon's ability to use this defense to the best of its ability.
Oh man, I missed the Gannon shredding. I'm glad it's back.
He showed us nothing last year, and you would say to me all the time, Regz, he doesn't have his guys. Like, he needs certain people in certain places to run his defense scheme the way he wants to. Well, sir,
here we are.
You have the pieces.
Here we are.
It's all on you.
It's here.
Because it's not a lack of talent.
Nope.
So all those excuses are out the door.
Gone.
Can you show us,
Kenny,
that you can use this defense to and get the most out of them possible?
Yeah,
I'm not confident in that fact yet.
That's fair. Roger's gonna lose his mind when he hears this.
That dude needs to prove it. Like, it's nut up or shut up time.
Oh man, so good. All right. I've got two things written down. I've got like a joke one.
Do all of them. Let's go.
So the joke one that I have written down is I'm least confident in Howie being done because I still think he's got one more move up his sleeve. They still only have 4 receivers on the active roster. There's something in my head that's like he's not done yet. That's more of a joke than anything though. But we'll see. I could be right. Okay, so all right, I'll start here. I'm least confident in Miles Sanders being the number 1 back. We've heard a lot during camp, and it's been Sirianni has stood by him. We've seen that he's been full tilt the last couple. And I know he's in his contract year, so there's that, but he's just never healthy. And at some point, that hamstring that always bothers him, it's always a thing.
Yep.
I think is going to end up catching up to him. So that's the one that I chose straight up. If I have to do the other one, I will. I don't know that I don't know that I feel great about Marcus Epps yet. And I not that I don't like the guy, but I feel like he's been built up to be like he played really well last year.
Mhm.
Don't get me wrong, he did, and I'll be curious to see what he looks like next to CGJ this year with like an actual other safety. But like I'm not confident that he's the answer at safety. So I guess we'll see. Like, but I still take Miles way over that.
Yeah.
I still take Miles way over that. All right, we didn't talk about this before the show, but give me your final division standings before we jump into the Phixated.
So, Eagles, Washington, Dallas, New York.
All right, so we have the same thing.
I think Washington and Dallas could flip-flop, but I'm more on the side of the Dallas you describe than I am with them sort of holding it together the whole season.
Yeah, I do believe that Washington is the second best team in the division. I'm very set on what they do defensively. I think they're tough.
Mm-hmm.
Ron Rivera is an incredible head coach, a great motivator, really tough, and his teams reflect that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what their record's going to be, but I do believe that they'll be the second best team in the division, and I think it'll be with a winning record.
Yeah.
I think I haven't looked very closely at their schedule, but 9-10 wins seems very doable for them.
Yeah, I'd have to look at their exact schedule. I haven't.
I do believe that one of their games, if not both of their games with the Eagles, are going to be like absolute slobber knocker type of games.
Okay.
Definitely the first one.
Mm-hmm.
The second one depends on where the Eagles are at record wise and how hyped that stadium is.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very good. Very good stuff tonight. I like that. Um, so fixated for a minute. I'm gonna take it to college football.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be fixated on I'm not most people are probably thinking I'm gonna go Notre Dame, but I'm not. I'm gonna go with this 12-team playoff.
Okay.
I've been into expanding the playoff for a while now. But Rex, 12 teams.
Yeah, 12 is a lot.
Like, what are we doing? Did we not see what happened to Oregon last week? Like, the gap is just so big.
Mhm.
And I don't know, Riggs, one of the things I've thought about as I've been so fixated on this since it's been announced is, does the NCAA think that this is going to balance it out because now more teams will get in, so not all the 5 stars have to go to these like these top programs, right? Like, because at this point in college football, it's truly Alabama. Now Georgia's in that conversation, Ohio State, Clemson, and then the rest of college football.
Yeah.
You know, and even though Notre Dame competed with Ohio State on Saturday, the reason that they didn't end up winning the game is because the talent separation is what it is. So I don't love 12 teams. I wish they would have chopped it down a little bit more, and I still think it would be a nightmare if you do 8 and you've got Bama playing. I don't know who number 8 is right now, but it's not going to be pretty. It's just not. And I want competitive football games. I don't want to have to sit through. I started that Georgia-Oregon game, and I was bored by, like, the end of the first quarter. I think I turned it off. Like, Oregon didn't even score a touchdown.
Yeah.
The final was 49-3. I mean, like, the announcers were begging for them to get in the end zone on the last possession. And I think, expanding the playoff is only going to give us more games like that. I don't think we're going to get close games in those first few rounds. I mean, we barely get them in the 1 versus 4 that we have right now.
Right.
I mean, you and I have had to sit through that with Notre
Mhm.
Dame. Like, it's not always pretty.
No, it's not. It hasn't been.
So, no, and again, I say this to everybody. It's not a Notre Dame problem. It's a college football
Mhm.
problem. All the recruiting ends up at 3 to 4 schools. And I wonder if the NCAA thinks, well, if we go to 12, then more kids will go play for these other schools because now there's more of a chance to get in. And the way that the seeding is going to work is going to be conference champions and are your top 4. So, I think the other side of this is people think there's 2 arguments for Notre Dame now too, right? So there's the argument that they don't have to join a conference because they're always in the top 12.
Mhm.
So they're going to get in. But then there's the argument of they'll never be a 1 through 4 seed ever because they won't be a conference winner. So, there's kind of 2 arguments to it right now. And I only bring Notre Dame into it because clearly I'm a Notre Dame fan. But like I'm so interested to see how this goes in 2026. I wanted expansion just for this sheer fact of, like, if we have 2 more teams and we do 2 buys, like, at least maybe the first round will be semi-competitive
Mhm.
with 3-6 and 4-5. But goodness gracious, if we're gonna have to watch I don't know what the bracket's gonna look like, but, like, eventually we're gonna see an Oregon Georgia type of game,
Yeah.
and it's just not gonna be enjoyable. Imagine if Bama and Georgia, they're playing for the SEC title game for the next 5 years.
Mhm.
So one of those is going to be the 5 seed, and they're gonna, like, you know what I mean? Like, one of them has to lose that game.
Right.
So I don't know. So there's part of me that was like, oh yeah, there's expansion. I'm fired up. But then there's part of me that was like, this is not going to go well. So I'm kind of fixated on that this week when I, just trying to figure out why, at least why that many teams.
Yeah.
Because the why to me, you're trying to build a more competitive brand of football, but 12?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if you have any thoughts or
I'm with you
know.
that 12 is too many for now. I agree that it's probably them trying to, like you said, make college football more competitive overall.
Mhm.
But that's
Mhm.
not going to happen for years.
Mm-mm.
Years. So
No.
it's going to be much of the same for a while.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll see. I just didn't love it.
No,
So,
fantastic.
all right. So, again, I want to thank everybody for dealing with my little bit more of a monotone go at it tonight.
It's ASMR, Azzy.
I really was nervous about the neighbors. I got to spend the next three nights with these people. So, certainly wanted to be respectful if I could be. Guys, huge news. The website, the merch website is done. It was sent to us by the company who's designing everything. It was sent to us Wednesday, Regs?
Yeah.
Tuesday. It was
Mhm.
sent to us. They asked us to approve everything. We did. We got back to them today and said we're good to go. So that should be live in the next day or so. As soon as it is live, we'll put it in on all the social media platforms. We'll throw it in the podcast description. And we would love to have the Phixated Podcast, logo out and about. We put together some really cool stuff. We've got hats, both baseball type and knitted. We've got polo shirts, pullovers, sweatshirts, unisex tees, men's tees, women's tees, long sleeves, all kinds of great stuff that you can purchase and show your support for the pod by wearing it out and about and getting other people to jump on board. Here's what we'll do though, Regs. Why don't we do this? For those people who put in our Phixated fan page on Facebook or on our YouTube comments, whatever it may be, we'll put your names in a hat for a raffle for a t-shirt. So you can win a t-shirt right off the bat. And then what we'll do is the winner, you can choose your merch and we'll the best record, most accurate record at the end.
Yeah.
You choose your merch and we'll get it sent to you.
Yeah.
So
that's a great idea.
So we'll do a t-shirt for a raffle for anybody who enters the contest, and then the winner can choose whatever piece of merch they want. And we'll get it made for you. So make sure you check that out.
Yeah.
We'll post it on all the social media platforms.
We're really excited about it. As everyone knows, it was one of our big goals for 2022 to get merch up and running. We were able to revamp the logo to something that I really think is awesome and works really well on merch. This is just sort of what we put out here is just kind of what we thought was a good first offering. There's a ton of possibilities. If you guys really like everything or maybe have your own suggestions of what you're interested in, please let us know. Write a comment, shoot us a message on Twitter, Instagram, on the fan page on Facebook. Hey, what about this? What about this? And it's really going to be dependent on how popular things are. So we hope that you enjoy the stuff that we've seen. Looks awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with how it turned out and how it looks and how this new logo that we have looks on the merch. I know people have been asking about it, so we aren't putting like a huge markup on this stuff. It's really very minimal. We just we want the logo to be out there. We want you guys to be able to show your fandom for this podcast, and it's just another way that you can support the podcast. show it to your friends and family. Maybe it's a gift item that you can give to somebody who's into the podcast that you know. We're going to be rocking it a bunch. So, you'll see us wearing it all over the place on the podcast, on the YouTube videos. We're really, 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 really excited about it. And we hope that you like it. Please, like any feedback, good or bad, we want to hear. Mm-hmm. We want to hear what you think of the stuff. Any suggestions on future items, commentary on the items that you receive. Please let us know all the good and the bad. This is our first venture into this, so we know it's not going to be perfect, but we're really excited to be able to get you guys something to rep the pod. And the first time I ever see one in person, I'm going to lose my mind. It's going to be
tell
great.
you right now, I already know what my first purchase is.
What are you going with?
So it's going to be a dual purchase.
Okay.
I'm going to get the trucker hat.
Yep.
Obviously. And I'm getting the green hoodie.
See, mine's a triple purchase. I'm going black polo, golf shirt. I'm going t-shirt, and I'm going green hoodie. That green hoodie looks sick.
The green hoodie is fantastic.
Looks so good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. When you guys see it, you're going to thank us immediately.
Yeah,
because
it looks so good.
It is that amazing.
I can't wait.
The green hoodie with the black Phixated logo on it. It looks fantastic. So, and the good news is all merchandise is shipped for free. So, all you're paying on is the actual price. And like Reg said, we really didn't mark it up. We just want
this to be out there.
We just want it out there. We want you to show your pride in the pod. And again, I think what Reg said is so true. If there's something you don't like, let us know. If there's something you want to see made, it's not hard for us to add to the website. So if there's something dumb that we say on here that you think is a cool t-shirt idea, let us know.
That's going to be another, we're going to start doing some giveaways with the merch. Like, as you said, we're looking for, we've been sort of racking our brain for like podcast catchphrases that we could put on t-shirts. So maybe we put another poll out there on the Facebook page and get people to submit, memorable quotes that they can remember from the podcast. There's been 45 episodes, so there's got to be something that we've said.
Hashtag roll ducks.
Yeah, that's of course an option. So I think we'll put that on the fan page. We'll let people sort of write in with, some memorable catchphrases or things that they remember from the pod that they think would be good on a t-shirt or something like that. We're completely open to ideas and feedback, good or bad. Like, we want this to be the best it can be for you guys. This is who it's for. It's for the fans of this show, the people that, Azzy, we didn't even mention, we hit 1,000 total downloads just the other day.
How about it? And everybody says to me, like, all right, so when I just click play on my app, is that what that is? And I said, no, like, if you're not downloading it and you're just streaming it, like, that's an extra listen for us. So there are people who do both, and we're so appreciative of, like, I did the math really quickly that day, and it's like, that's like, I know it fluctuates, but that's like 25 downloads.
I know. I did the same exact thing that you did.
and it's just crazy to me. And I know we've said it a million times. We're so sorry that we drone on this, but like 25 people download this to listen to us, and other people stream it to listen to us or watch us on YouTube. And it's just like, from the bottom of my heart, the reason that I brought my crap to South Bend, Indiana, was because we wanted to stay true to what we promised you guys at the beginning of the year, which was we're going to do one every week. So I said to Regz, we were going to do it last night, but I was exhausted from back to school. I was like, I'm just going to pack my stuff, and when I get to South Bend, we'll record. So it's like 11:45 here on Thursday night, and and we're doing it because, like, we're so appreciative of all of you. So this 1,000 downloads is just wild. It's just insane to me.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So we can't thank everybody enough. We hope that you enjoy the merch. We will put it on every social media platform that we have. We're going to update all the podcast descriptions with a link. So even if you're new coming to the podcast and you're listening to episode 1 or 2 or 3, a link will be in there. If you happen to share it with your friends, just let them know that the link will be in the podcast description as soon as we have it. It'll be everywhere. And if you can't find it, like, just let us know and we'll send it to you directly or figure out where we can put it, you know?
And when we add new stuff, we'll certainly let you guys know. Because, you know, absolutely this first look, like we said, it's all just the logo on everything. But we do want to develop, you know, some other stuff along the way. So as we do that, we will certainly let you guys know what it is, where you can find it. But again, anything that you think of that you think would be a cool merchandise item, please let us know. We can reach out to the company that's putting together the site and the merchandise, and they'll put it together for us. You know, they did a great job with everything. When you see it, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. It all looks so good, and we're very excited about it.
Yeah, really exciting.
Yeah. So, hey guys, thanks so much for listening. And tonight, tomorrow, whenever it is you listen, I don't know, I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna work my way through this outro as best I can. Make sure you follow us, click subscribe below here on the YouTube channel. Are we still kind of hanging in that same?
We plateaued at 21. Apparently my Twitter handle was enough for people to get in there, but now they need a little extra motivation. I mean, listen, maybe at 30 we drop another piece of merch.
There it is, the 30th person that subscribes. Well, you know, I think that's it. Let's go. We gotta get to 30. Share it out. Let's get to 30. Let's keep climbing here.
If we can get to 50 before the end of the year, I mean,
I'm gonna put Regz' face on a shirt with at Big Regz with a Z. That's the merch. We're gonna make a Bitmoji of Regz.
You just made people unsubscribe.
At Big Regz with a Z. No, I'd wear that shirt. I would absolutely wear that shirt. And on the back, it'd say Roll Ducks.
There you go.
So make sure you click subscribe here below. Follow us at the Phixated fan page with a PH on Facebook. Follow us at the Phixated Pod on Instagram, which I don't usually plug, Regz. You got to remind me to do that.
So the Instagram is just B&B Podcasts.
Oh, it's the B&B
we don't have a
Podcast.
Phixated Instagram yet.
We're
much more of a Twitter platform. So at Phixated Pod on Twitter, at B&B Podcast on Twitter for the network, and on Instagram for all, you know, the podcasts that we have on the network. Obviously, my man over there is at the Mic Drop 5. I'm at Big Regz with a Z. I'm taking over the outro to give Azzy a break.
Which is going to be a t-shirt. Yeah, I'm exhausted. It's good. I'm actually going to make the Bitmoji tonight so that I can make a t-shirt of it.
There you go, people. This is just a few of the exciting things you have to look forward to with the merch. So, again, thank you everyone for listening. Thank you to Azzy for his dedication. I'm glad he got there safe. I'm glad we were able to get this football preview in before the season starts. Go Birds. Phils beat the Nationals, please God. And we will see you next week for a recap of the Phils weekend series, you know, and also a recap on week 1 of the Birds. So everyone have a good night. As Azzy says, be kind to each other. And we'll catch you next week.
Take care, everybody. Go Birds. Go Phils.
Oh my God! Deep to right field, way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.